Amara had always been the quieter one, the shadow beside her sister Eliza's bright light. While Eliza dazzled everyone with her charm, confidence, and plans to marry the wealthy and respected Rayan Malik, Amara preferred the simple comforts of her library job and caring for their aging parents. She watched her sister's engagement with a mixture of admiration and quiet envy, knowing her own life would never be quite so dramatic or full of promise. Then, just weeks before the wedding, everything changed. One evening, Eliza vanished. No phone calls, no messages, no explanation. She left behind only a brief, hastily written note on her bedside table. "I'm sorry. I need to find myself." The words were hauntingly simple, yet they shattered the carefully built world of their family. Amara found the note first. Her hands trembled as she read it, disbelief swirling in her mind. How could Eliza just disappear like that, abandoning the man she was supposed to marry? And what about the Malik family, the powerful, influential family that expected this wedding to unite two great legacies? Word spread quickly. The media caught wind of the story, and soon the family home was swarming with reporters. Rumors flew. Was Eliza cold feet? Was she hiding a secret? The questions were endless, and the answers nowhere to be found. In the eye of the storm stood Rayan Malik. Despite being blind since birth, he was a man of sharp insight and unwavering dignity. When the news broke, his reaction was calm but firm. He would wait for Eliza. But the Malik family's board had other plans. Their alliance with Eliza's family was a business and social powerhouse, and canceling the wedding would bring scandal and financial loss. Pressure mounted. Days turned into a tense week, and the wedding date loomed closer. The Malik family proposed a solution that stunned everyone. Someone must stand in for Eliza. The family needed to preserve their honor, and the wedding had to go on. At a private family meeting, Amara was asked the unthinkable. Could she pretend to be Eliza and marry Rayan? The thought seemed absurd, yet the alternative was letting her family fall apart in disgrace. The weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders. She was terrified, but she also understood the stakes. No one else was willing. Eliza had disappeared. The family's reputation was at risk, and Rayan, unaware of the storm raging around him, continued to show kindness and trust. Amara felt a strange pull, a mixture of duty, fear, and something else she couldn't name. She said yes. From that moment, her life changed. She was no longer Amara, the quiet librarian. She became the woman her sister was supposed to be, a fiancé to a blind billionaire, walking a tightrope of deception with every step. Her first challenge was learning everything about Eliza's life, her mannerisms, favorite phrases, even intimate details of her relationship with Rayan. It was overwhelming, and every day she feared being found out. At the same time, she saw a side of Rayan that the world rarely knew. Despite his blindness, Rayan was sharp, witty, and deeply compassionate. He trusted her, spoke to her with warmth, and treated her like the woman he loved. Amara found herself drawn to him, even as the guilt of her secret weighed heavily. But the biggest question haunted her. What if Eliza returned? What if Rayan discovered the truth before the wedding? And how long could Amara keep up this delicate illusion before everything unraveled? For now, the wedding had to happen, and Amara was ready to walk down that aisle, not as herself, but as the sister who had disappeared. The day of the wedding arrived with a mix of excitement and heavy tension hanging in the air. Amara stood before the mirror in Eliza's elegant gown, heart pounding wildly. She barely recognized the reflection staring back. This poised, radiant woman was supposed to be her sister, the one she was replacing. Every inch of her screamed fear and doubt, but there was no turning back now. Downstairs, the Grand Malik estate buzzed with guests, all dressed in their finest, waiting to witness the union of two powerful families. Rayan Malik, the blind billionaire groom, sat quietly in the library, unaware that the woman preparing to walk down the aisle was not who everyone believed her to be. Amara's hands trembled as she took her place at the end of the aisle. The music swelled, soft and graceful. The guests turned their eyes toward her as she began to walk forward, every step feeling heavier than the last. She could hear the whispers, the clicking of cameras, and the soft murmurs of anticipation. Ryan rose to meet her, guided by the steady hand of his best man. His face lit up with genuine warmth, his smile reaching his lips even though his eyes could not see. He extended his hand and Amara took it, feeling the strength and calm in his grasp. The ceremony proceeded with flawless precision. The vows were spoken with sincerity, words of love, commitment, and partnership. Amara spoke as if every word belonged to her, but inside her mind raced with doubt. Could she live this lie? Would Rayan ever truly know her? Rayan's voice was steady, but there was an unmistakable tenderness in his tone when he addressed Amara. Despite his blindness, he sensed something real in their connection. He was not a man easily fooled. He felt the warmth of her presence, the subtle shifts in her emotions, and the genuine care in her touch. Throughout the ceremony, Amara noticed how he spoke about their future, not just as business partners or a social alliance, but with dreams and hopes. He talked about traveling the world, exploring art, and building a life full of meaning. These were things Eliza had never shared, and it surprised Amara deeply. As the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, applause erupted. Amara smiled, tears threatening to spill over. The moment was beautiful, but beneath the surface, her heart ached with guilt and uncertainty. After the ceremony, guests gathered for the reception. Amara moved through the crowd, accepting congratulations and smiles, all while feeling like a ghost in her own life. Rayan remained calm and charming, engaging with family and friends, unaware of the secret they were all keeping. Later, as the evening settled into quiet moments, Rayan found Amara alone on the veranda. The cool night air brushed past them, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine. He reached out, gently brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. "You seem different from Eliza," he said softly, his voice carrying curiosity and something like hope. "Not better or worse, just different. And I like it." Amara's breath caught. She wanted to confess everything, but fear held her back. Instead, she smiled and nodded, unsure how much longer she could maintain the facade. That night, lying awake in the grand bedroom she now called hers, Amara felt the weight of the secret pressing down harder than ever. She was caught in a delicate web of lies, but also in the unexpected beginnings of a connection she had never imagined possible. Her thoughts drifted to Eliza. Where was she? Why had she disappeared? And what would happen if Rayan ever saw her, the real Amara instead of the sister she was pretending to be? For now, the wedding was over. But the real challenge, the truth, was still waiting. Life inside the Malik mansion was unlike anything Amara had ever known. The sprawling estate, with its marble floors and grand chandeliers, felt both magnificent and suffocating. Each room echoed with memories of Eliza, the woman she was pretending to be. And every glance from the household staff reminded Amara of the secret she carried like a heavy stone in her chest. Rayan's world was a complex blend of sharp intellect and gentle kindness. Despite his blindness, he moved confidently through his home, guided by routine and the trust he placed in those around him. Amara marveled at his strength, the way he navigated a world without sight, but with such clarity of purpose. Days began to blur as Amara fell into the rhythm expected of Eliza's fiancé. She attended meetings alongside Rayan's business associates, smiled at social events, and learned to mimic Eliza's laughter and mannerisms. Yet, beneath the surface, she felt invisible and exposed all at once. One of the few moments Amara felt truly herself was when she sat beside Rayan in his private study, reading aloud from books he loved. His appreciation for literature was profound, and he listened intently as she read passages from poetry and philosophy. They shared quiet conversations about the ideas in those pages, dreams of freedom, the meaning of love, and the beauty hidden in unexpected places. It was in those moments that Amara's heart began to shift. She found herself drawn to Rayan not as the man her sister was supposed to marry, but as the man he was: kind, thoughtful, and deeply perceptive. His blindness did not define him. It was his courage and spirit that shone brightest. Yet the guilt remained, a constant shadow. Amara wondered how long she could keep living a lie. She feared the day Rayan might discover the truth, and what that would mean for both of them. The silence about Eliza's disappearance gnawed at her, and every unanswered question felt like a wound. The mansion staff treated Amara with polite respect, though some noticed small differences. A subtle change in her tone, a missed detail in conversation, or a hesitation before a smile. No one dared to speak openly, bound by loyalty to the Malik family and the delicate situation they all navigated. One afternoon, as Amara walked through the gardens, she spotted Rayan sitting alone on a stone bench. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting soft patterns on his face. She approached quietly and sat beside him. "I can't see the colors, but I feel the warmth of the sun," Rayan said softly. "It's strange to think how much I've missed." Amara smiled, touched by his gentle spirit. "There's a whole world waiting for you to explore when you're ready." He reached out and took her hand, his touch steady and reassuring. "I'm grateful you're here with me." Her heart ached. She wanted to tell him everything, the truth about who she was, why she had married him, and the secret she carried, about her sister. But fear kept her silent. Meanwhile, news of Eliza's absence continued to haunt the family. Occasionally, Amara would hear whispers of rumors, some dark, some hopeful. But no new leads emerged, and the mystery of Eliza's disappearance remained unsolved. Amara knew that her time in this fragile role was limited. Something had to change. Either the truth would come out, or Eliza would return. Until then, she had to live behind the mask, balancing hope and fear, love and guilt, all while trying to protect the man who trusted her so completely. Months had passed since the wedding, and with every day, Amara felt the walls around her tighten. The weight of the secret was exhausting, but she found solace in the quiet moments with Rayan. He was a man full of hope and resilience, always searching for light even in darkness. And now, an extraordinary opportunity was on the horizon. One that could change everything. Rayan had been offered a chance to undergo a pioneering surgery that might restore his sight. The procedure was experimental and carried risks, but for the first time in his life, Rayan allowed himself to dream of a world painted in colors, shapes, and faces. The news sent ripples through the family and stirred a mix of excitement and fear. For Amara, the announcement was a turning point. If the surgery succeeded, Rayan would finally see her, not as Eliza, but as herself. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. What would he think when the truth was revealed? Would he feel betrayed? Or could their bond withstand the revelation? The days leading up to Rayan's departure for the surgery were filled with quiet, precious moments. They spent hours talking about hopes, fears, and the future neither of them could fully imagine. Rayan's trust in Amara deepened, and she felt her own feelings grow stronger, tangled with the guilt she couldn't escape. One evening, as they sat together in the garden, Rayan reached out and took Amara's hand in his. "No matter what happens," he said softly, "I want you to promise me one thing. When I come back, I want the truth. I want to see you, really see you." Amara's breath caught. She looked into his face, searching for any hint of doubt, but found only sincerity. She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "I promise." Next morning, Rayan left for the hospital accompanied by his closest family and doctors. Amara stood by the grand gates, watching as the sleek black car disappeared down the winding road. A heavy silence settled over the mansion, filled with hope and uncertainty. The hours stretched into days. Amara paced the rooms, her mind racing with every possible outcome. She thought about Eliza. Where was she? Would she ever return? The owl. Questions haunted her, but now they were joined by a new fear. What if Rayan's world changed so much that she no longer had a place in it? Finally, the call came. The surgery had been a success. Rayon's sight was restored. When he returned home, the atmosphere was different, charged with anticipation and fragile hope. The moment had come for Amara to face the truth, for better or worse. On the day he opened his eyes to the world, the household gathered quietly. Amara stood beside him, heart pounding as he slowly lifted the bandages and blinked against the light. For a moment he simply looked, taking in the room, the faces around him, then his gaze fixed on Amara. His eyes searched her face, filled with confusion and recognition. "You're not Eliza," he whispered. Amara's breath hitched. The moment of truth had arrived. She stepped forward, tears streaming down her cheeks, and began to speak, telling Rayan everything. About Eliza's disappearance, the family's desperate choice, and the unexpected love that had grown between them. Every word was a release and a risk. Rayan listened quietly, his expression unreadable. When she finished, the room held its breath. The room felt unbearably still. Rayan's eyes, newly opened to the world, held Amara's gaze with an intensity she hadn't anticipated. "You're not Eliza," he had said softly, and now the truth was laid bare between them. Amara's tears spilled freely as she confessed everything. Eliza's disappearance, the family's desperate decision, the growing love she hadn't expected to feel for him. Each word felt like a weight lifting, yet also like a chasm opening beneath her feet. Rayan's silence was deep, almost as if he was searching for the right place to land after a great fall. His fingers trembled slightly as he reached out to touch her face. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he asked quietly, pain flickering in his eyes. "I was afraid," Amara admitted. "Afraid of losing you. I didn't know if you'd forgive me, or if you could love someone who wasn't who you thought she was." He studied her face, tracing the lines of truth and vulnerability. "I loved you before I saw you," he said slowly, "before I even knew your name." The words broke through the tension like sunlight through clouds. But despite this fragile hope, the path ahead was unclear. The deception could not be undone overnight, and the trust between them had been tested like never before. 4 days after the revelation, Rayan withdrew into himself. He needed time to process, to understand the woman he now knew was his wife. Not Eliza, but Amara. His mind wrestled with betrayal, confusion, and an unexpected tenderness that refused to fade. Amara felt the sharp sting of rejection, retreating to the quiet corners of the Malik estate, where the echoes of her secret lived with her. She questioned whether their love could survive the truth. Meanwhile, Eliza's sudden reappearance added another layer of turmoil. She returned to the family, pale and distant, revealing her reasons for fleeing, a struggle with fear and expectations she could not meet. Her absence had not been an act of cruelty, but a desperate search for freedom. The family, already shaken by the deception and revelation, faced a new reckoning. Forgiveness was difficult, but slowly, cracks of understanding began to form. One evening, Rayan sent a message to Amara. "Meet me where it all began." Her heart leaped with hope and uncertainty. At the old park bench where they had shared quiet conversations before the wedding, Rayan waited, his eyes now fully open, searching for answers. "I've thought about everything," he began. "The lies, the truth, the love, and I want to believe in us." Amara reached out, taking his hand, feeling the warmth and strength she had feared lost. "I see you," he said, "not just with my eyes, but with my heart." Together, they faced the uncertain future, willing to rebuild, to forgive, and to love beyond sight. After their heartfelt reunion at the park, Amara and Rayan began the delicate process of rebuilding their relationship. It was clear that the road ahead would not be simple. Trust, once fractured, takes time and care to mend, but both were willing to try. Back at the Malik estate, the atmosphere shifted. Family members who had been caught in the crossfire of secrets and misunderstandings started to come together, driven by a desire to heal. Eliza's return, though painful, had opened new conversations. She apologized sincerely for her disappearance, explaining the weight of expectations she could no longer bear. It was a moment of vulnerability that brought unexpected closeness between the sisters. Amara, still living with the lingering guilt of her deception, found strength in Rayan's willingness to look beyond the past. He never pressed her for perfection or immediate answers. Instead, he invited her to be herself, to share her thoughts, fears, and dreams openly. One afternoon, as they walked through the estate's blooming gardens, Rayan paused and looked at Amara. "You've taught me what love really means," he said softly. "It's not about appearances or perfection. It's about honesty, courage, and being present." Amara smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. "I never expected to find this kind of love," she admitted. "But I'm grateful for it, even if it came through such difficult circumstances." Their days became filled with small moments of joy, a shared cup of coffee in the morning, whispered conversations late at night, and gentle touches that spoke volumes. The mansion, once a place of tension and secrets, slowly felt like home. Yet challenges remained. The public eye had not forgotten the scandal surrounding the wedding. Rumors still circulated, and the Malik family's business reputation was fragile. Amara took on the role of managing public relations, determined to protect their family and Rayan's legacy. At the same time, Eliza embarked on her own journey of healing. She enrolled in therapy, seeking to understand herself and the pressures that had driven her away. Though their paths were different, the sisters began to rebuild their bond, forged now by honesty and forgiveness. Amara also discovered new strengths within herself. She grew confident in business meetings, standing beside Rayan as an equal partner, rather than a shadow. Her voice, once soft and uncertain, gained clarity and purpose. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Amara sat with Rayan by the fireplace. The flickering flames cast a warm glow around them. "We're not perfect," she said, "but maybe that's what makes us stronger." Rayan nodded, his hand finding hers. "Together, we can face anything." Their journey was far from over, but for the first time the future felt full of promise rather than fear. They had chosen each other, not out of convenience or duty, but out of a deep, resilient love that had been tested and proven. And as the stars twinkled outside, Amara realized that sometimes the most beautiful stories are born from the most unexpected beginnings. With their bond growing stronger by the day, Amara and Rayan stepped out into the world, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. The public, once skeptical and whispering, began to notice the genuine connection between the two. Slowly, admiration replaced doubt. Amara had transformed from the hesitant woman hiding behind a mask into a confident partner, standing firmly by Rayan's side. Together, they attended charity events, business conferences, and social gatherings. Their chemistry was undeniable, a blend of respect, trust, and love that softened the sharp edges of past scandals. Yet the media's spotlight was relentless. Reporters poked at their story, eager for drama. Questions about Eliza's disappearance and Amara's deception surfaced repeatedly. Rayan faced these challenges with grace, always protective of Amara and determined to focus on their future. One afternoon, during a high-profile charity gala, a reporter asked Rayan directly, "How did you find it in your heart to forgive and love Amara after everything?" Rayan smiled warmly. "Love is not about perfection. It's about understanding forgiveness and seeing the soul beyond mistakes. Amara showed me all of that." The crowd applauded, sensing the sincerity in his words. Amara felt a swell of pride and relief, knowing that their story had shifted from scandal to inspiration. Meanwhile, Eliza continued her own path to healing, supported by her family. She and Amara rebuilt their sisterly bond, their relationship now stronger for the honesty and challenges they had overcome. Eliza's journey inspired Amara to embrace forgiveness not just for others, but for herself. At home, Amara and Rayan nurtured a quiet sanctuary away from the world's noise. They shared dreams of traveling, starting new projects, and building a family. The mansion, once a place of secrets and tension, now echoed with laughter and hope. One evening as they walked hand in hand through the garden, Rayan stopped and looked deeply into Amara's eyes. "You have changed my life in ways I never imagined," he said softly. "Thank you for being brave enough to love me." Amara's heart swelled. "I never thought I'd find this kind of happiness," she replied. "But with you, I feel truly seen." Their love was a testament to resilience, to the power of truth, and to the unexpected paths that lead us home. As the stars glittered above, they knew their journey was far from over. But together, they were ready to face whatever came next. United by a love that had survived the darkest storms and emerged stronger than ever. The seasons changed, and with each passing day, Amara and Rayan's love deepened. What had started as a complicated arrangement grew into a genuine partnership rooted in trust and understanding. The shadows of the past lingered, but they no longer held power over their future. The Malik estate was alive with warmth and laughter. Again, Eliza, now on a path of healing and self-discovery, had returned as a sister renewed, grateful for forgiveness and ready to support her family in new ways. The sisters' bond, once fractured by secrets and pain, was now a source of strength for them both. Amara found herself embracing the life she once feared. She became a respected figure in the Malik family's business, bringing fresh ideas and a compassionate touch. Rayan's sight, a miracle she had once worried about, was now a daily reminder of the beauty in second chances. Together, they built a life filled with moments both grand and simple. Shared breakfasts bathed in morning light, quiet evenings, reading by the fire, and long walks through gardens blooming with promise. Their love was no longer about sacrifice or pretense. It was about choice. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in hues of gold, Rayan took Amara's hand and led her to the place where their story had truly begun, the garden bench where he had first asked to see the truth. "Want to start the next chapter with you," he said, his eyes shining with hope. From his pocket he pulled out a small velvet box. Amara's breath caught as he opened it to reveal a delicate ring, simple yet elegant. "Will you marry me?" Rayan asked, his voice steady and full of love. Tears streamed down Amara's cheeks as she nodded. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." Their kiss sealed a promise, not just of marriage, but of a life built on honesty, forgiveness, and unwavering love. The wedding that followed was a celebration of new beginnings. Friends and family gathered, their smiles genuine, their hearts full. Eliza stood beside Amara, proud and supportive, as the two sisters embraced the future together. Amara looked into Rayan's eyes and saw not only the man who had once been blind, but the man who had chosen to truly see her for who she was, flaws and all. It was a love story born of courage, resilience, and the willingness to face life's uncertainties hand in hand. As the sun set on their special day, Amara knew that life would continue to bring challenges. But with Rayan by her side, and with the lessons of the past guiding them, they were ready for whatever the future held. Their story was no longer about hiding behind masks or living in shadows. It was about light, love, and the extraordinary power of being seen.